This is Secular Talk's 500th live show right now. Kind of feels weird to say Secular Talk's 500th show because it sounds like I'm talking in the third person, which I kind of am. It's strange that people know me as Secular Talk. It's like, no, my name's actually Kyle Kulinski. Secular Talk is just the name of my channel and the name of my YouTube channel and name of the radio network. But people they refer to me as that's my name. It's fine, whatever, it's cool. But 500th episode, 500th live show. So I figured I'd share some stuff about myself and the show with you guys that some new listeners might not know. I know a lot of longtime listeners might know this stuff already. So first, I'll be incredibly narcissistic and start with me. If you haven't picked up on it yet, I have an obsessive personality. That's probably the first building block for me even starting the show in the first place. See, the thing is, I don't know if this is true of all people with obsessive personalities, but I suck at most things. I'm useless at life. If life was a game, I would fail miserably. I mean, from washing my clothes, to washing my sheets, to fucking feeding myself, to doing the most basic things, I suck at almost all of them. Cooking, are you kidding me? I can't cook shit. But when you have an obsessive personality, you find something or a few things that you like, and you fucking latch onto those things, and you do as much as you possibly can of those things. And I've been like that my whole life. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's something innate or if it's something I picked up when I was young. But if I find something I like, I dedicate all my time to it, and I try to get good at it. So one of the things that obviously I'm really into is the show, which of course I do for money. And when I'm not doing the show, I don't have much time other than doing the show. I work 6 out of 7 days of the week. Most of the time it's 15 or 16-hour days, Monday through Thursday, and then when I get off the air on Friday, I kind of take that night off most of the times, but then Saturday I have to work 7 or 8 hours, and my only actual day off is Sunday, and even then sometimes I try to start reading on the stories to get ahead. But when I actually have some free time, I'm a golfer. I know that's kind of weird because our show is supposedly really progressive, and that's the most Republican thing on the planet. But I do love golf. I've been playing it most of my life. I was on my high school team. I still play it to this day. I watch golf all the time. I'm one of the biggest Tiger Woods fans out there. Also, I love poker. When I was in high school, we picked it up. We were part of that whole Chris Moneymaker boom in the year 2003 when I think it was NHL was on strike, and then they actually played that on ESPN as opposed to the hockey games, and then everybody who was in high school or around that age started playing it. So I picked it up then, and I've been playing it ever since. In fact, at my last birthday, a couple friends and I went to, I don't know whether it was Mohegan Sun or Foxwoods on the weekend, and I actually won a tournament of over 120 people. And again, that's another thing. I was obsessed with it, so I worked really hard at it to try to get good at it. And so other than that, there's really not much to me. I mean, I really am the laziest motherfucker on the planet, except for the things that I care about. So obviously the show I care deeply about, and my hobbies I do. But if it's not those things, I really am the laziest fucking person on the planet. If you ask me to do anything other than the specific things that I like, I'm I don't want to do that. The idea of showering sometimes depresses me. I'm fuck, I gotta fucking take a shower. It's so stupid. Why? I don't care how I smell. It's irrelevant. I'll just fucking spray myself with cologne 900 times. So that's all you really need to know about me. I mean, I'm born and raised in New Rochelle, New York, which is in Westchester County, New York. I'm from an upper middle class family. My father used to own a Chevrolet dealership. He's since passed away. My mother's a physical therapist. That's pretty much it. I'm American, man. I'm 100% American, but I'm mostly Italian descent, but also a little bit of Polish too. Maybe some other stuff. That's all there really is about me. Now, about the show, that stuff's probably more interesting. The first Secular Talk YouTube video was released on April 21st, 2008. Yes, it's still up. You can take a look at it. I think the title is Secular Talk First Video. It might be hard to find on YouTube since there's over 3,000 Secular Talk videos now on YouTube. But it was April 21st, 2008, so that's a special day. the first live internet radio show, which a lot of you guys are listening to right now if you're not watching this later on YouTube. But the first live internet radio show called The Kyle Kulinski Show as part of the Secular Talk Radio Network. That was the first one of those was on September 9th, 2009. So people say, oh, you look really young. I might look young, but again, I've been doing this in one version or another since 2008, although, of course, back then it wasn't full-time. I was in school and I was doing other things. On March 11th, 2013 is when I actually announced that the show is joining TYT Network. What happened is I had sent so many videos as video responses to different the Young Turks channels. Like, that's how YouTube used to work. I don't even think they have video responses anymore, but I'd post them as responses because the subject matter was similar. And I don't know whether it was Steve O, who's the CFO of the Young Turks, one of the founders. I don't know if he was the one who originally saw that I was doing it, or if it was the guy who's the social media guru and expert, Aaron Wysocki over at TYT. I don't know if he was the one who originally found out that I was doing that. But at the time, they became an MCN, which is called a main something. It's just like they're a head honcho on YouTube where they can have channels underneath them as subsidiary channels. And they were just expanding at that time, and I got lucky, basically. And they reached out to me and said, hey, you want to join the network? We see you're sending a lot of video responses to us. I didn't even know they could see that I was sending video responses to them. But I was fucking honored. I was like, sure. And at the time, of course, the show was incredibly shitty. I still think it's pretty shitty, but it was bad. But they still let me on, and I've been doing it full-time for probably about 2 years now, doing the show full-time for about 2 years. Originally, it was like I'd do it once a week or two or 3 times a week. At one point, it was 4 times. Now, of course, we do it 5 times. There's one year where we were pretty much off, where there was no Secular Talk on YouTube and none for the live radio shows, and that was the year 2011. And that was the case because I got a real job. I actually worked in the car business briefly, and I fucking hated it. It was good as far as real jobs go because I'm lazy if I don't like the thing that I'm doing. So, of course, I was lazy at selling cars because I didn't give a shit about it. But so I had a lot of free time doing it, but you didn't make any money, and, I knew it wasn't for me in the long run. So 2011 was a year off, but then we came back and got to work again. But here's the thing. So the things I'm most proud of about the show as of today, probably the numbers. So each podcast, which of course you guys are listening to live right now on Blog Talk or later on YouTube, but each Blog Talk podcast gets about 1,000 listens. Secular Talk on YouTube is really the main thing, and that gets between 50,000 and 90,000 views a day, which I'm surprised by, which equals over 2 million views a month on YouTube, and it's rapidly growing. I'm very proud of that. That's not I don't give just me credit for that. A lot of that is the fact that I became part of the TYT network, and they promote my stuff now and help me out in that way. And one of the things I'm most proud of is probably the social media ranking site, Social Blade. They have Secular Talk as ranked number 15 when it comes to the news and politics channels on all of YouTube. It's number 15 for news and politics on all of YouTube. That I'm surprised by and I'm flattered by, and that puts us ahead of the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and the Associated Press and a lot of other behemoths. So again, I'm proud of that. So how did I get into politics? That's a question that that a lot of people ask me on Twitter. And, I was always somewhat aware of politics and somewhat interested in it. But there's an interesting backstory to when I really got into it. So around 2004, when I was 16 years old, was I 16? Yes, I think I was. A unique thing happened to me. So a friend had showed me the Loose Change video, which is, of course, the 9/11 Truther film. And he showed me that, and then at the same time as I watched that, I kind of simultaneously started watching, I caught an episode of Bill O'Reilly's show, and then I started watching that. So what happened is something clicked because I had these two opposing worlds colliding. So I was fascinated by the idea that people can look at the same circumstance, whether it be 9/11 or the Iraq War, and just come to wildly different conclusions. I mean, you're getting the right-wing stuff of Bill O'Reilly and the conspiracy stuff of 9/11 truthers, and that kind of set a spark off in my head, and from then on, I was fucking obsessed. So I kept watching O'Reilly's show, and I started reading stuff, and I followed the 2004 Kerry Bush election, and I was totally hooked. And again, I never like bought into O'Reilly. Like I wasn't watching O'Reilly and going, "Oh, I'm learning stuff." It was just actually the presentation aspect of it. And that actually leads me into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is the influences on the show. So some of these may be surprising, some of these probably not surprising. But first, like I said, believe it or not, Bill O'Reilly is a big influence on the show Secular Talk and on me. And it's not because he's right, because, again, he's wrong about pretty much everything. But when it comes to his presentation and his delivery, he's pretty much the gold standard, in my opinion. I mean, again, I disagree with him on everything, but his delivery is flawless. There's a reason why he's been number one with cable news, I use the term news loosely, for so long, for over a decade, because people like the way the dude fucking delivers his shit. Also, another influence, again, people are going to be shocked, but Rush Limbaugh. Now, Rush Limbaugh, not because of anything he's ever said on his show, he's totally wrong and he's an idiot on his policies and he makes shit up all the time. And it's not even because he's good. At least O'Reilly's a good broadcaster. But for Rush Limbaugh, the reason why it influenced me is because he was considered the king of political talk, and I preferred the format of his show. There's something that I really like about the art form of putting a microphone in front of a guy or a girl and saying, okay, go, and then you walk away. Like that's it. Here's a microphone, talk. Because then, like, you have to fucking pour your heart and soul out and tell people exactly what you think about different issues, and you can't, at least I can't, fake it for 2 hours a day. Like, it's just, it's, I don't know if it's a skill or if it's just an art form or whatever it is, just that whole format I really liked. And I remember telling one of my college professors, my junior year or senior year, I remember telling him, this guy was into politics. In fact, it was like a sociology class or criminal justice class or something he taught. I said, I want to be the Rush Limbaugh of the left. And again, not in the sense that I'm going to make shit up like he does, but I viewed him as like, okay, he's the right-wing guy who just makes shit up. Well, how about I'm the smart guy or the progressive guy who actually gives facts and gives information and gives news stories? So from a young age, I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. And again, started in 2008. I was 20 years old at the time. So now let me get into the bigger influences, because those guys are just loose. They're the right-wingers who I disagree with. First of all, Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky is a huge influence on me. I actually disagree with the guy a lot when it comes to economic policy and domestic policy, but the guy will blow your fucking mind with his understanding of American history and world history and his understanding of U.S. foreign policy. That's an area where his criticisms are 100% correct. U.S. foreign policy. If you want your mind to be fucking blown, just watch some Chomsky lectures or debates on YouTube. That was a huge influence on me from when I was young. Also, Richard Dawkins. When I read the book The God Delusion, my life changed. I was this waffly guy. I was raised Catholic, so I maybe would have loosely described myself as a Catholic, even though I knew I didn't believe. I was like an agnostic Catholic, right? After reading The God Delusion, you cannot walk away without saying either you're an atheist or an agnostic or an agnostic atheist. It's an unbelievable book. Sam Harris is another one, Letter to a Christian Nation, End of Faith. Reading that book, huge influence on me. I carry this stuff, the stuff I learned from them with me to this day. Other influences, of course, the elephant in the room, as everybody already knows, Cenk Uygur. Started watching the Young Turks probably around the same time that I did my first Secular Talk video. Ironically, one of my biggest pet peeves is that a lot of people say, hey man, your delivery is a lot like Cenk, or are you a fan of his? Love your show. And I'm like, okay. And look, again, I'm honored by that because he's the king of political talk now online for sure, and he's so great at what he does. But at the same time, I feel like it's disrespectful to him when people say, oh, you're like him or your delivery is like him, because it shows that it's like cheap on my part. And there's probably an element of truth to that also. I catch myself doing that. Sometimes I catch myself doing like a Bill Maher presentation and how I'm talking and using my hands. And it's hard when you talk as many hours a day as I do. It's like you catch yourself like impersonating people sometimes in strange ways. Like recently I started watching a lot of Joe Rogan show, and every once in a while I'd catch myself in the middle of a story going, fuck, I'm doing Joe Rogan. Like I'm doing the way he talks and the way he acts and everything. And that I don't like that. There's a problem with that. And I do have to continue to work on that to try to get away from kind of mimicking other people who are professional talkers. But there's no doubt that the Young Turks and the main show and Cenk, they've had a big influence on Secular Talk, a big influence on, the way I do what I do and the stories that I cover and all that stuff. And then also, probably two of the other biggest influences on the show, Tom Hartman and Bill Maher. Okay, see, Tom Hartman was the original progressive talker, the original #1 progressive talker, and he was one of the main motivating factors. See, Tom Hartman I was listening to way before I started my first video in 2008, and I was kind of obsessed that a guy, again, you just give the guy the microphone, he talks about stuff in the news, and it's just all his thoughts, his beliefs, his arguments, and he's such a smart guy. He was so much further in front of anybody else who was doing it at the time that it's like, this guy's so smart and more people should be listening to him. Of course, he was on small stations. Air America ended up failing, but Tom Hartman, huge influence. And probably #1 influence is Bill Maher. Now, I'm not a comedian. Sometimes people say I'm funny. I don't think I am. I'm just fucking a guy who's vitriolic and screaming on the radio and on YouTube. But Bill Maher was a huge influence because he's the guy that he makes politics cool. He can joke about it. He would say dirty things. When you're a 20-year-old kid, you watch it and you're like, this guy's awesome. And to this day, he's still doing his thing and he's still incredibly popular. So that's all the different influences on Secular Talk. But the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and I was saving for the end because I think it's really important, is that you guys are the best, like all the listeners, because it literally couldn't be done without you. I wouldn't make any money if it wasn't for you guys listening to the show. I'd just be this douchebag talking to himself. And I don't know, it means a lot. I'm getting slightly emotional right now, which just sucks because I hate showing emotion on air. But there's something about the internet, how you guys, you can smell bullshit from a mile away. And when somebody's being honest, whether you agree or disagree, you show them love, and you make the channel grow, and you keep watching, and you keep doing all this stuff, and again, all the members, I love all people join, and they pay $8 a month, and they get all these perks. They're allowed to come on air and stuff, but most of them don't. Most of them don't even want to. They just want to pay $8 a month because they like the show, and they want to support it. And to every single one of the members who's just month after month, they keep paying and paying and paying, and they don't even want anything in return. I'm indebted to these guys forever, man, because without you guys watching, I couldn't do what I do. It's not about me, really. It's about you guys, and it's about, I like the idea of being a medium for information. That's what keeps me going every day. The fact that I have to wake up and read so much to get all the information. I wake up at 9 and read until the last second right before I come on air at 4. And I couldn't do it without you guys. You mean absolutely everything to the show, and I think that the show is going to continue to grow, and it's going to get even better and even better. It's going to get even more and more popular because, again, whether you agree or disagree with what I'm saying, the internet has a way, and the smart people on the internet have a way, including all of you. You can smell the bullshit, and when you don't like something, it doesn't have a chance of making it. But if you like it, if it's genuine, it grows, and the possibilities are endless.
What I want to do is make videos about the news, basically, and report it to you people who either don't have time to watch the news or want to watch something entertaining about the news, because I'm going to go ahead and give my opinion, tell you how I interpret what's going on, and how I think we can make things better.